Welcome. My name is Brian Edwards. I'm the director of the program in Middle East and North African Studies here at Northwestern, as many of you know, but it's my pleasure over the next few days to meet several new faces and colleagues and students and friends. It's my pleasure and honor to welcome all of you, whether you're coming from near or far, to the MENA Program at Northwestern in Evanston, the first visit for many of you. And over the next 4 days, more than 18 leading scholars from the United States and abroad will engage in discussion and dialogue about a remarkable set of transformations that have animated the Middle East and North Africa over the past several years, and probe deeply into their historical antecedents, their transnational implications, and think rigorously, theorizing, about the social and cultural forces that animate and have animated them. This conference, too, serves as the inaugural conference for the MENA program here at Northwestern, and we are proud over the next several days to celebrate the beginning of its 3rd year of full operations. This is not only for us here, the colleagues at Northwestern, a new academic program, but the result of creative and collaborative thinking of colleagues across a number of disciplines, many of them are right here in the room, here at Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences, and across 3 of the Northwestern schools. In that sense, the MENA program dates back further than 3 years, but back 8 years to 2007, when several of us here created a working group in Middle East and North African Studies, funded by the Buffett Institute, then called the Buffett Center, which was devoted to thinking together about what it would mean to create an area studies program, or a program organized around a world, region, or area, after the well-noted critique of area studies approaches. And some of our answers in that working group, which met in borrowed places and spaces, nothing as elegant as this, including my own living room on a couple of occasions, were a more capacious sense of the region, a greater sense of North Africa, our real focus here on North Africa and the Maghreb, as well as other parts of the Middle East that have been given less attention traditionally, and a greater sensitivity to the transnational pathways that people and ideas, to say nothing of media, technologies, and finances, would be called for if we were to create our own program. Indeed, thanks to the leadership of then Dean of Weinberg College, Dan Linzer, who's our current provost and will address us on Friday, he's out of town right now, and then President of the University, Henry Beenan, Northwestern engaged in expanding our faculty substantially in Middle East Studies across the disciplines. And the faculty here, and those who joined us over those years, thought continually about the pitfalls and possibilities of creating such a program after many other institutions had already established such programs. We thought, as we discussed in our working group and then subsequently, that our very belatedness, in fact, could be an opportunity to do things differently and hopefully better. And always hungry for engagement with our colleagues elsewhere in the United States and with students at all levels, from our undergraduates, first-year students in Arabic and other languages, to our graduate students, we are eager to continue that conversation. Now, today, MENA is a full-fledged academic program with a total of 26 faculty who are associated directly with us. And this number includes 13 members of the core faculty from disciplines as diverse as political science and art history, anthropology and comparative literature, history and religion, 6 full-time members of language faculty, and 7 affiliated faculty as well. We currently, I'm happy, proud, and sometimes overwhelmed to say, are conducting 3 national job searches. In fact, they're quite international, as the overwhelming pool has let us know. And so we are still growing at a rapid pace, and we're in a growing phase. We have a vibrant undergraduate major and minor. I see several of our undergraduates here, and a robust community of graduate students who are pursuing PhD certificates alongside their disciplinary PhDs, and we're roughly at 27 graduate students pursuing PhD certificates. This conference, of course, is the fruit of the labor of many people, and the fact that you're all here from so many places, many of you having just taught and gotten in an airplane, attests to that. And it is also thanks to a partnership with a very special foundation, the Moulay Hisham Foundation, that we're able to be here. Moulay Hisham himself, of course, is an exceptional individual as a thinker and scholar, and on Friday I look forward to his plenary lecture and his address to the conference as well, when we will give him a fuller, more personal introduction. But thanks to the generosity of the foundation, we here in the MENA program were able to pause from our own work building a program and institution building and reflect on the transformations in the region, which of course we on the faculty are simultaneously studying, living in, traveling to, sending students to, and writing and teaching about while engaged in building the program. And with the full freedom to invite whoever we wanted with no oversight or restrictions, the MENA faculty as a whole, beyond its conference committee, nominated speakers, those of you visiting us over the next several days, and the conference committee sifted through those recommendations and came up with the superlative program you have here in front of you. If you don't have it in front of you, there's some more on the table. So I want to end my remarks with some thanks. First to the conference committee for their remarkable work starting in the summer. Jessica Winegar, who will address you in a moment, the co-chair of the committee itself with me, Catherine Hoffman in the faculty of anthropology in MENA, Wendy Perlman in political science in MENA, Mona Arabi, an advanced graduate student in political science and the former co-chair of our MENA graduate group, were the members of the conference committee, as well as the members of the MENA core faculty who nominated speakers and participated in discussions with us about them. And then, of course, to the amazing staff in MENA, we'll be thanking them a lot, who have been working nonstop, and you know I do sometimes feel really guilty about how hard we're working over there. And I mean well above and beyond what anyone should be asked to do to make this event happen. This is especially to Tim Garrett, standing in the back of the room, who's the project coordinator for MENA, and behind the camera, Lexi Gore, the MENA program assistant, who got you all here in the room and all that follows. Finally, I want to thank Boulay Hisham himself for suggesting over lunch a couple of years ago, when he seemed to be impressed by what he'd heard about MENA, whether we wouldn't like to assemble an event such as the one that we are beginning right now. I want to thank him not only for his generosity, but his inspiration in bringing together all of you here today and over the next 4 days, along with our students and colleagues and many members of the Northwestern and Evanston community who have come to be a part of the MENA program and MENA community here. So welcome. I look forward to seeing you and learning from you over the next 4 days. And now I would like to turn over to my colleague, Jessica Winegar, and I will say she is the Harold and Virginia Anderson Chair, Associate Professor of Anthropology in MENA, and the co-chair of the conference committee. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. And I join Brian in welcoming all of you here to Chicago and to Northwestern on this beautiful fall day. It's gorgeous outside, right? It's really beautiful. The sun is out, the leaves are out. While you're here, I encourage you to take a walk on the lake. You know, it's really commonplace to comment on the weather when visitors come, actually. To our guests, we laud the beautiful weather as if it's a kind of exception. But in fact, it's not. 54% of the days in Chicago throughout the course of the year are sunny, which actually puts us smack dab in the middle of the national average for sunshine per year. And also, 500 million years ago, Chicago was in a tropical jungle. So history is important. When our guests have to battle the cold and the wind, we often, when they first arrive, we apologize to them as if the weather's our fault. Not, the result of natural weather patterns or climate change. Well, I guess we kind of play a role in climate change, but I don't think it falls squarely on the shoulders of Northwestern faculty, yet we still feel like we have to apologize to you when you come in the weather. It's really bad. All right, so why am I going on so much about the weather? Part of it is that I'm actually thrilled that it is not hailing on you today, and you will enjoy good weather while you're here. I really am honest in that. But part of it is also to introduce, albeit through the cheesy topic of the weather, some of the complex analyses that we created the conference to both feature and nurture. If you think about it, talk about the weather in Chicago is a lot like talk about the Arab Spring in some discussions of the Middle East. You have to mention it. It often becomes the introductory frame for larger discussions, even if it doesn't always fit. It's an easy seasonal metaphor that enables generalizations and inaccuracies, both about effects and causes. It's ahistorical. It denies agency and attributes blame to all the wrong actors. The same goes for the phrase the Arab Fall, which is now very common in the US media to describe what's going on in the region. But this conference brings you here in order to in order to develop a more complex set of understandings about transformations in the Middle East and North Africa. Transformations large and small, historical and contemporary, both within, but not contained within, the geographic Middle East and North Africa. Really, the reason we brought you all together is you are representative of some of the best scholarship in and about the region at this time, in this post-area studies moment that Brian was referring to. We brought you all here from a range of disciplines. You're all trained in different theories, different methodologies, and different institutions. You each bring different kinds of expertise and perspectives. But all of you are interested in theorizing questions related to social, political, and economic change at different scales, with different, often intersecting causes and effects that you've all identified and analyzed in your scholarship. These include the reshaping of space, of social categories, of cultural expression, of political power, just to name a few. So we've grouped your contributions to this conference according to loose topics to provide you with what we think will be rich conversations between you and your paired colleagues. But also, what is really wonderful about all of your papers, which we know because we've seen all of your abstracts, is that their concerns connect across the different panels. So we think you'll all be very pleasantly surprised by some of the new ideas that emerge from these different connections. We will think first through these questions of scale, space, and categories today in our first panel on borders, areas, and regions with Jonathan Wurtzen and Paul Silverstein. Tomorrow, Kevin Martin, Ms. Nakato, and Michelle Campos will discuss the problems of citizen and territory making as these relate to state processes. And they'll provide us with historical, anthropological, and even methodological insights to understanding these connections. Tomorrow afternoon, Ibtisam Bouashreen and Roxanne Farman-Fermayan will both bring media and creative expression into focus, and helping us understand how privilege and power are challenged and reproduced in times of political upheaval. And then Sarah Tobin and Zakia Salim will discuss the implications of neoliberal transformation for political action, a theme which will also be central to Asif Bayat's plenary tomorrow evening. Our discussions will continue on Friday with Andrea Stanton and Alice Wilson, rethinking issues of sovereignty in light of such movements of people, refugee movements in the region, for example. Sovereignty issues are at the heart of the uprisings, and as numerous scholars from Agamben to others have suggested, the body politic is at the core of issues of struggles against the sovereign power of states. And Marwan Kredi's plenary tomorrow afternoon will train our attention on the body as a lens to understand the current uprisings. In our final panel tomorrow, final panel on Friday, Daryl Lee and Miriam Lowe will bring us first full circle to some of the considerations we'll start thinking through in today's panel on areas, regions, and borders. And their work challenges us to think more about state power in the construction of categories of foreigner, slave, and mercenary. And their panel will be followed by Judith Tucker's plenary, which does something similar. It'll pick up from here and explore transformations in state power from the margins, exemplified in the figure of the pirate. Her historical and methodological lessons will be important for reflecting on what is going on today. And for reflecting further on what is going on today, we also have Moulay Hisham bin Abdallah, who will provide a concluding plenary that assesses the current transformations going on in the region, 4 years after the beginning of the uprisings. Again, we thank his foundation for enabling us to all come together to explore the complex question of transformation in the Middle East and North Africa, historically in the contemporary period. We hope that these conversations prove productive to you and for our larger field. I think that our beautiful fall will certainly help those conversations be really nice and productive for us. But what will bring us together is not just enjoyment of the weather, but rather our critical perspectives which will never be satisfied with simplistic seasonal metaphors for understanding transformation. So with that, Brian will introduce our first panel.